It's Friday, December 24th, 2010. I'm Kevin McShann, and this is the McShann Sports Beat Report.
Ohio State quarterback Terrelle Pryor and 4 other Buckeyes must sit out the first 5 games of the 2011 season for accepting improper benefits. None suspended for the Buckeyes' January 4th Sugar Bowl game against Arkansas. The NCAA announcing the suspensions earlier today, shortly before school athletic director Gene Smith and coach Jim Tressel were meeting with reporters to discuss the university's investigation of players trading autographs for tattoos. Pryor, running back Dan Herron, receiver Devier Posey, on offensive lineman Mike Adams, and defensive end Solomon Thomas also must repay between $1,000 and $2,500 to charity. For more, let's bring in our college football insider, Joe Shad. Joe, what were the items for Terrelle Pryor specifically that he sold?
Yeah, he's going to have to pay back $2,500. He sold his Big Ten championship ring, his 2009 Fiesta Bowl Sportsmanship Award, and an award given to him by the Ohio State University in 2008 called the Gold Pants Award. All those items were recovered.
Now, Joe, I understand that you spoke with Terrelle Pryor's high school coach. What did he have to tell you?
Yeah, Ray Reitz is his name, and what Ray said was that Terrelle Pryor, so why would Terrelle Pryor sell these items? And he said it was about his family. His high school coach said Terrelle Pryor wanted to help his mother. He said sometimes when you're young, you don't realize the ramifications of these decisions.
Now, Joe, for the people that are listening to this story, they might be wondering, why are Pryor and these 4 other suspended Buckeyes, why are they allowed to play in the Sugar Bowl against Arkansas?
Well, the NCAA addressed that in their statement, and they said that there were 2 key reasons. One, in their estimation, the players did not receive adequate rules education from Ohio State. And 2, they determined that no competitive advantage was gained on the playing field. But clearly this was the NCAA's decision. It could have held the players out of the Sugar Bowl. It's their choice not to.
Mistakes are made by all people, regardless of the walk of life you come from or your level of fame and fortune. However, those mistakes made by individuals who have superstar status tend to be magnified much more often than the ones made by your average Joe. For Ohio State quarterback Terrelle Pryor and 4 of his closest friends, they received coal in their stocking on Thursday when the NCAA suspended them for the first 5 games in 2011. What started out as an innocent trip to a local tattoo parlor has quickly turned into a public relations nightmare for everyone at Ohio State. Athletic Director Gene Smith and Buckeyes head coach Jim Tressel met with the media on Thursday to discuss the sanctions the university and its football team are now facing.
The U.S. Attorney's Office contacted our institution on December 7th, and they were engaged in a case where they went and seized some items from a person's home and place of business, and then those items were Ohio State items. They were interested to know whether those items were stolen items or items that our players owned or whatever. So we were contacted then. The athletic department was informed on December 8th, and from December 9th through the 15th, we were doing our investigation planning. We realized that those items may have been sold to this person by athletes. The individual that was being investigated made that allegation, so we had to follow up on that. We interviewed our athletes on December 16th, and I want to thank our athletes because they were honest, forthright, told the truth, remorseful, which allowed us to move expeditiously. On the 17th, we contacted the Big Ten and the NCAA offices and informed them that we were preparing a self-report of a secondary level 1 infraction. And on the night of December 19th, Sunday night, we sent in the self-report to the NCAA and declared our student-athletes ineligible in that report. The NCAA subsequently on Tuesday, December 21st, conducted phone interviews, interviewing all the young men who are listed in the release. That took all afternoon on the 21st. They asked for additional information that we subsequently submitted late that evening and some more that next morning to them. We were contacted by phone on the 22nd, yesterday, about 4:45, 5 o'clock, where the NCAA rendered their decision. And subsequently, obviously, as it says in the release, reinstated the young men for the bowl game and rendered sanctions for 2011 regular season. We put them all in the room and told them about the case from the U.S. Attorney's Office, and then we began the process of interviewing them individually. Did it all in the same day.
Their demeanor, when was this exactly?
December 16th, I think it was. You can imagine, they were totally depressed. And then when we got into the interviews, they were very remorseful. There were tears. It was an emotional time. And you have to keep in mind that in November 2009, we were explicit about this rule. They had already done this, so they carried a burden from November 2009 till December 16, 2010. And for some of them, I'm sure it was a relief to have it off their shoulders, because in November 2009, they knew they had a violation.
Many times I've come before you and talk about all the good things that our guys take part in, which they do. The guys listed in the release take part in many, many good things. Sometimes you're in a situation where you need to talk about it when we didn't do as well as we could have. I agree with Gene that our rules education is as good as it could possibly be, and we work hard to get things better. I think ultimately we as coaches feel as if the buck stops here, that we're the ones that need to make things even more crystal clear than when a compliance officer might spend time with our team, or an outside speaker, or whatever it happens to be. The bottom line is that that we feel as if that's our responsibility, and so obviously we don't feel good about the fact that we fell short. We're proud of the way our kids have responded to their mistakes, and we're looking forward to making sure we get a heck of a lot better in every area, and this one in particular. There's a gut-wrenching feeling when you lose a game and you could have done better and so forth, and then there's one that goes beyond when you don't feel as if you did what you should do as people. And so whatever the next step of gut-wrenching is, that's the way you feel, and we feel a responsibility for our kids, that, on and off the field, and so obviously it's painful.
The 5 suspended players are scheduled to miss games against Akron, Toledo, Miami, Colorado, and Michigan State. The Buckeyes plan to appeal the suspension in hopes of reducing the number of games their players have to serve. I paid for my own tattoos. Go Bucks, Pryor posted on his Twitter account on Wednesday night. Herron must repay a total of $1,150 for selling his football jersey, pants, and shoes for $1,000, and also receiving discounted services worth $150. While Posey has to pony up $1,250 for selling his 2008 Big Ten championship ring for $1,200 and receiving discounted services totaling $50. Adams must repay $1,000 for selling his 2008 Big Ten championship ring, while Thomas's tab totals $1,505 for selling his championship ring for $1,000. His gold pants for $350 and receiving discounted services of $155. A sixth-player freshman linebacker, Jordan Whiting, must also sit out the first game of the 2011 season and pay $150 to a charity for his involvement in the incident. ESPN's college football analysts Mark May and Tom Luginbull blast the NCAA for their handling of this situation and believe that they're setting a dangerous double standard.
Well, obviously, Ryan, you're shocked because it's Ohio State and these things usually don't occur there, but when I look at the total big picture, I look at the NCAA. And I think if you pick up a dictionary and you look up the word hypocrisy, you look at the word fraud, there should be parentheses behind those words in 4 letters, NCAA. Because if this situation happened to any school in a non-BCS conference, if this happened to any school in the SEC conference, and I'll give you perfect examples later, these players would not be playing in the Sugar Bowl. You look at A.J. Green at Georgia. When he was suspended, the first game back, he was suspended those first 4 games. They didn't say, okay, you can play in the first game, and then we're going to suspend you later. Marcel Darius at Alabama. 2 players from the SEC conference. If this happened to Ryan Mallett at Arkansas going into the Sugar Bowl, I can guarantee you he would be suspended for the Sugar Bowl because that's the way the NCAA is. They will take certain conferences, particularly the Big Ten, their sacred cows, and the Pac-10, and they won't punish them like they punish other conferences, particularly the SEC.
Mark, there's no doubt that the NCAA guidelines are ambiguous, they're open-ended, and that's to leave for interpretations by many different people to get the outcome that they want. That's a shame here. But make no mistake, this is about one thing and one thing only, and that's revenue. There is no way that the NCAA was going to allow a grenade to be thrown on the Sugar Bowl's ability to generate revenue. It's not happening. There is no way, and I agree with you on the hypocrisy remark. That's just another level of the hypocrisy. This has to do with the BCS Championship Series and revenue generated by Bulls.
Tom, they're going to get their money regardless. Even if these players play or not, the conference and the schools are going to still get the check from the BCS. It's going to give them a black eye for 1 year, but the bottom line is what's right is right. If you're going to do something to a player from one school, why not equally punish the same player from another school or another conference?
Well, there's no question that that's a debate, and the same thing though has not happened yet with Cameron Newton, with the reinstatement coming, I believe for the same reasons. There's no way the NCAA and the SEC, for that matter, were going to throw a grenade on the season that Auburn is having. That's something that they'll deal with later. You and I are in agreement, maybe for some different reasons, but the NCAA picks and chooses how they want to handle things at their own discretion.
Oh, regardless, Pandora's box has been opened. Mayday brought it up, the selling of A.J. Green's jersey that belonged to him. Terrelle Pryor selling things that belonged to him. This is a very slippery slope the NCAA is on right now.
This is an honest mistake made by what appears to be 5 upstanding and model citizens. You have to admire their dedication, passion, courage, and commitment to wanting to help their families through their tough financial times. I'm sure there are plenty of you out there pinching pennies in order to survive and stay afloat, and can sympathize with the situations these young men and their families are going through. As for the NCAA, they're traveling down a very slippery slope and sailing in some very choppy seas if they continue to adopt the theory that not all of the rules apply to all of their players and conferences. The sad part about this whole situation is that Pandora's box has indeed been opened, and I'm not sure if or when it will be closed. Kevin McShann, Sports Beat, report.